Countries in the Horn of Africa are struggling with extreme drought. World aid organisations warn the region's on the brink of catastrophe, with more than 20 million people experiencing food insecurity in the wake of 5 consecutive failed rainy seasons. DW's Edith Kimani visited farmers in Eldama Ravine at the heart of Kenya's breadbasket to see how they're adapting to multiple challenges.
This was supposed to be a bumper harvest for Jonathan Kibet, but things could not have gone worse for the Kenyan farmer. First, the rains failed to come in March. Then an infestation of armyworms attacked his crop. And most recently, a violent storm flattened his entire harvest.
We'll not be having anything to eat. Because if this farm was producing, let's say, 15 to 18 bags, now I'm projecting maybe I'll get 3 to 5 bags. Now you see that gap, a gap of around 10 bags. That one will be a serious problem.
Kenya ranks as one of the countries with the highest food insecurity in the world. As a rain-fed economy, the country relies almost entirely on produce from small-scale farmers like Jonathan, who simply can't keep up.
We have been using an ancient mode of doing farming. We have not gotten maybe more enlightenment, or now we can do other manageable ways of farming.
On a neighboring farm, Samson Talam gets to tilling his land. The high cost of fuel has meant he can no longer afford to hire a tractor. It's a lot of work with little return. He takes me to see this year's harvest. It's not promising.
Indian beans. These are beans. Another ones are there. There's another box there. This is the only one I've harvested right now for this year.
The 65-year-old is now at risk of poverty, as even his dairy business is threatened by the scarce animal feed. The impact of what's happening on the farms can already be felt in informal settlements right here in the city. The price of maize flour, which is a staple in the country, is now retailing for close to $2. But for a population living in extreme poverty, that can feel like a death sentence. And that was made evident in this viral video showing a shopper's visceral reaction at a supermarket to the increased food prices. On the streets, the view is similar.
You can't expect someone earning $1 a day to buy maize flour for $2. Children here are going to school hungry. We can't even feed them breakfast.
Food security expert Anne Miner has been critical of African governments' inability to create crop and diet diversity. Her suggestion? Focus on climate-resilient and nature-driven farming.
We need to harness resources. Already we have several huge dams that have been built, but also putting money in investing in small irrigation facilities, conservation of water, building of water plants would make a huge difference in terms of food production in Kenya.
Back in the Rift Valley, Jonathan is already rolling out his next plans. Sorghum, a more drought-resistant crop with a ready market. He's hopeful he'll bounce back when the rains come.
Yeah, if they come. Edith, tell me about it. Just how bad is the situation where you are?
It's more obvious in the northeastern part of the country, which has a more arid and semi-arid climate. And there, a food security steering group in the country estimates that 3.7 million people are facing starvation. In the cities where I am, or in the breadbasket regions, like where I made that report from, it's less obvious, but the climate shocks are definitely affecting the harvest, as we saw in the report, but also a serious pest issue. We were being told in 2020 that Kenya is losing as much maize to pests as it is importing. So there's a huge problem with food supplies, not to mention the global commodity shocks that we're seeing, of course, because of the war in Ukraine.
Is there a reason heat-resilient varieties can't be used across the whole country?
The first reason is economic. As a small-scale farmer, it makes more sense for me to grow maize because I can then offload it quite easily to the people around me. If I'm using something like sorghum or millet, which is less of a staple in the country, it means I have to have a contract with, say, a brewery, and that's less Then, of course, there is access. The people who do want to use these drought-resistant seeds don't have access to them because they'll be available in the country as of 2023, but only in an experimental capacity. And this is what we got from the ministry. And finally, there's the health concern, particularly biodiversity and biosafety groups here in the country are asking, why would we want to invest in genetically modified crops when in the West, the move is more organic?
Edith Kimani, thank you very much for your reporting.